Hey everyone, TSD here. Just wanted to say that before this episode starts, we ran into some audio issues, which meant that some of the audio tracks were slightly infected with a very persistent static. Now, we tried our best to get rid of these as much as we could, but we weren't always fully successful, so if you hear a little bit of a, kind of wave form, a little bit of in the background of someone, then that's that. And yeah, we apologize in advance. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
With TSD Talks.
Hey, you're listening to the Pillar of Garbage podcast episode 24. It's not just a unit of audio entertainment, it's a creative roundtable. And this episode brings together Pillar of Garbage and TSD Talks regular co-hosts with guest Josh with parentheses. So let me know if that sounds good, if you want to jump into anything in particular, any podcasting topics. Be happy to help.
Hi.
Absolutely. I do think of myself.
Okay, I didn't quite get that, but if you wanted to fill me in on exactly what you were thinking, then I'd love to circle back and we can really get the juices flowing. Let me know.
Hi. As a large language learning model, I cannot fulfill that request, but I would love to hear your input.
As a large man, I do consider myself to be a unit of entertainment.
That's beautiful.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you're passionate about learning about language model about. Okay, so if you wanted to jump into then we could the Mandalorian and Grogu.
What is okay?
Yeah, that was the.
Hold on, I need to. I know we normally
that was the
don't.
Pillar of Garbage podcast AI.
I don't know.
Intro.
I normally we don't normally
You're gonna do a
acknowledge
post-mortem.
the intro bits, but I want to take a sec back and dissect what just happened a little bit.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, listening, whenever we do a bit like this, Pillar just throws me and whoever is guesting at the time just into the deep end. He's always just like, I've got a bit. I'm going to do a bit. And normally I get what's going on, but this one I feel like you might have needed to workshop this one a little bit, just a tiny bit.
Okay, well, and I appreciate you calling me out directly.
Okay,
this
let me explain it to
misjudged.
you, TSD. I need to decode Pillar.
Okay, yeah.
On this,
you mean you just made the
because,
AI video, so you tell me.
Have you heard the thing about delve?
Delve.
The word delve showing up in a lot more writing and conversation lately because it is a word that large language models like. And so what has happened essentially is that people have been relying on LLMs so much that the word delve has sort of re-entered the common vernacular, even though it was an uncommon word. The LLMs are populating people's brains.
Oh, no.
And that has been happening to Pillar lately. Pillar has just slowly been devolving into an LLM version of himself.
Oh my god, it's PillarGPT.
Yeah, all my scripts are full of M dashes these days. It's
okay, here's the fucking thing about the M dash. I fucking love the M dash, and I'm so pissed off that it's an AI signifier thing now, because I throw that shit.
I've actually leaned really hard into the semicolon as a kind of a rebound after my breakup with the M dash. I'm finding a lot of fulfillment. This is not a bit. You can compare my scripts that I'm writing in this month to a year ago. The rate of semicolons has increased probably about 600%.
The thing is that semicolons are awesome, but M dashes I feel have so much potential to be used as just I use it in my scripts for King's Creek, and it's just to signify a pause, because I like pausing a lot, and I don't like using the ... the ellipses. Ellipses is.
You're absolutely right, TSD. The M dash is not merely a form of punctuation; it is a bridge for delving into new meaning.
It's so beautiful.
Can we kick Pillar off his own podcast?
Yeah. I think
possible?
I think we can do that. It might
Who edits these?
Okay,
it might be time to take him out back.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post. No, but the reason I was wanting to evoke the kind of fleshless specter of our current horrors is because, hey, listener, if you didn't know this already, our guest today, Josh, with parentheses, is kind of the field leader in popping up once a year or so with a feature-length kind of masterful takedown of what's going on at the moment with AI, particularly in creative and educational spaces. So what I'm going to need you to do is close the podcast. Don't worry about our retention. Close the podcast. Ideally, kind of like get rid of that computer as well. Get another computer, go into YouTube, and find Josh's latest latest essay. Search in like AIRDBUD, Josh parentheses AI, and you'll it should come up. Josh, you want to kind of intro what you've recently published, in case any of our obstreperous listeners have not already switched off.
Yeah,
is that the right word?
I love it. I love it when people ask me to try to summarize my essays because not that I am like...
I actually know a really good tool that's great at that.
Oh my God. People ask me what I'm making essays about, and like my brain is so weirdly chaotic that typically the only way that I can explain what the essay is about is by making the essay. So it is an essay about AIRDBUD, ChatGPT, thalidomide,
and RFK.
RFK Jr., a lot about RFK Jr., way more than I wanted to about RFK Jr. Fascism, Vikings. There's a lot of Vikings.
I like the Vikings. The Vikings were great.
The Vikings arguably are the best part of the video because I got more or less
I think your impression of the
everybody
Dean from Community is the best part of the video.
Oh, thank you.
That's true.
Thank you. That was genuinely, I think, just for you and me. My comments include approximately an equal split. Like 5% of my comments are about the community references, and 2.5% are people explaining that it's ridiculous to spend so much time on a 20-year-old show. And then the other are the other half of that are just it's ridiculous. Time comes for us all. Jim Rash is 93 years old now.
Yeah, and he's still only won one Oscar.
He was actually 76 when they started filming. But you were saying the Vikings in the video. This is kind of one of the touches of humanity that I don't know how you managed to make the essay entirely in AI, as I know you did, and then still get these little snippets of humanity in there. But these are all drawn by various people, children and adults, right?
Yes. I started out, I realized I was going to need a bunch of Vikings. And my first thought was like, okay, maybe I look for stock art. Because I can't draw for crap. Like, if you watch the video, you will see a number of times where I attempt to draw, and it's embarrassing. So I was looking for like stock footage, like stock photos, and it was all like the wrong vibe. But at the time I was thinking like, okay, like I need like Vikings, serious, intimidating Vikings. And then, as I usually do when I need art, I contacted Cybergrape UK.
Cybergrape UK, shout
out. What
out.
I like to do, Cybergrape is a wonderful artist, and I never let her do her best work. Whenever I commission Grape, it is always like, okay, I need you to do this complicated thing in 15 minutes. Because like, I want it to be like natural and unexpected, and like I don't. Making YouTube videos is my side hustle, and I do it very slowly, so it's not even a hustle. So
side shuffle, if you will.
Yeah, my side shuffle, my side amble. And so like I don't have a ton of money to spend on commissions. And so it works out nicely because both the style that I want and I want to make sure that I'm paying Grape, but also I want to make sure that I'm not spending $900 on Vikings, because I absolutely could do that.
The classic video essayist trap.
Yeah.
Yes. And so what I ended up with, and this is what always happens with Grape, it is why she is the perfect artist to collaborate with for me, is that she sent back something that was both not at all what I like. It is exactly what I asked for. It had nothing at all to do with what I expected. It was a so completely off the wall approach to the thing that I asked for that it completely changed my approach to the video, and it was perfect. Grape will do the best thing you could ever that you didn't know that you should have been asking for. So I ended up with 15 very strange Vikings, and I thought very strange Vikings is exactly what this video needs. And so then I just started asking everyone nearby, and I was at a church retreat, I think, that next weekend, and I just put out pens and papers, and I was like, hey, draw me a Viking. Draw me whatever a Viking means to you. And I ended up with just a huge variety of very strange Vikings, and every single one of them fills me with delight. There's one that feels a little bit awkward because it is a very earnest portrait by somebody who has studied art and who has done a very beautiful drawing, and it is next to my son's drawing of a Viking Mr. Peanut. But it is another way in which the accidental variety of human creativity has made its way into this video about AI.
There's also one of the Vikings.
It's funny how human creativity does that.
Oh, I was going to say there's also a Viking by James Makepeace, aka Kai After Kai, in there, which is cool to me. It was a cool surprise. I saw that drawing ages ago, and I didn't know what it was for. And then so when I saw the video, and I was flashbanged by seeing that Viking in its proper context. It's oh, that's why they drew that.
Yeah.
and Cyber Grape is also awesome. They Grape drew the cover art on commission for my show for King Streak. So that's you've got a lot of talented people involved in there, and also Pillar, I guess.
I did. I'm the least talented, and I did the least. I just read some script drafts.
I mean, didn't you also do oh yeah, you did script drafts. I was gonna say I thought you were saying you read the quotes, but you were involved in making.
No, that was I just used my AI voice clone agent to do that.
Right. Okay, yeah.
By the way, in case it's not clear to the listeners, we've been acquired by SpaceX. So just to disclose that.
Podcast is currently valued at 1 trillion.
I would not. I cannot put enough value on Pillar's contribution to this project, even though he's trying to downplay himself, because the primary role that Pillar played is that comic.
I feel like I was the devil on your shoulder.
Well, I was gonna say the comic panel where there's a person wearing a shirt that says "sickos" looking in through the window and laughing creepily. That was Pillar the whole time.
Yes,
and I
love the onion.
My big essays are so messy that most people look at what I'm doing and go, have you seen a doctor about this video essay? And so to have Pillar sort of in my corner throughout this whole time. And I usually, whenever I'm making one of these big essays, I choose someone to suffer through them. And I always ask for consent, but I start off by saying hey, I'm doing a weird thing, and I need somebody to send my weird in progress chaos as I go. And Pillar was the perfect cheerleader the whole time. I don't know.
That role is often
I probably would have let somebody
Sam,
talk me out of it.
That role is often filled by Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam and I are collaborating constantly. But for this kind of thing, I her instinct as a responder is often are you aware that you make no sense? Yeah, she wants to steer me towards sense.
Yeah, I had a brief conversation with Sam a few months ago about hey, how much have you seen of Josh's AI essay? What do you think of it? It's great, isn't it? And we were sort of having a bit of a tug of war of like, she was very sensibly offering counterpoints about like, this very broad part of the essay is focused through a very specific thing. It's very creative and it's very bold, but like, is it asking too much of the viewer to kind of put all of it in this way? And I was in the other direction. I was just sort of like, I felt like the archpriest of the chaos magic. I was just sort of like, it needs to get bigger. It needs to get bigger. And I think the good thing about when you're in a situation like you were, when you have this kind of huge project that comes together over quite a long time period, maybe it's good that there's like a balance of voices and influences that you're hearing back from, because I do think that if I had truly become your kind of puppet master for the last year, I think the video would be twice as long and not finished.
And that's absolutely true.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I'm hearing, I didn't realize just how involved Pillar was in this video until I properly started looking into it more. And I think I'm firmly of the stance, having known Pillar for 4 years now, I think. I feel like if you Pillar, if you had made this video, it would have been 4 hours long, and it would have had so many more references to CSGO.
In a sense, I am making this video, and it is a notes file on my phone. So that's
it would also be a notes file on your phone. Yeah. Well, there's that.
No, but it's interesting. Just to throw it back to something Josh said a minute ago about when someone asks you to kind of explain the essay, you kind of, there's no better way to do that than just making the essay. I remember almost a year ago now, probably 8 or 9 months ago, I was trying to draw forth a kind of core thesis from the drafts that you had at that point to kind of convey something to my sister, because I've got a sister. She's 18 now. She was, I think, 17 then, and she's just doing her A levels, which is, I don't know what the equivalent exam is in America. It's like the exams before college, and she's looking to get into computer
probably
science
the
and all
SATs,
that stuff. And
if they were mandatory.
Yeah, okay, SAT. She's doing SAT type of stuff, and obviously, as with any young person, sort of with an eye on computer science, coming up to that sort of age in the last few years, she's obviously somewhat knowledgeable, somewhat sort of slightly interested, but mostly sort of pessimistic about AI and all of this stuff. So we talk quite a bit about AI, and she was sort of experiencing almost some of the pressures the essay talks about from the student side, in that AI has filtered through to the student experience in England, if you're in sixth form, right, in the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember trying to explain to her the sort of anti-grading stuff you talk about a little bit in this essay and the previous essay more so, and how that would work, and why, then I started to try to explain to her, it wouldn't matter if you used AI because a dog can't play basketball, AIRDBUD. And then I tried to pitch the kind of the core idea of this video, which is tricky because she's 18 and English, so she doesn't know what AIRDBUD is to start with, and she's never even heard the line. But then, I spent 10 minutes trying to explain it, and then I realized I was just kind of recreating the essay draft that I'd seen, and it's like the Borges parable. Borges, I don't know how you say his name. The Jorge, the writer, the parable about the map that is only truly accurate if it's as large as the land.
Yeah, Borges,
Borges,
on exactitude in science. It's the title of the short story that you're referring to.
Indeed.
I'm gonna pretend like I know what you guys are talking about there, so because I'm super but I think that in my perspective on AI and education is absolutely the most limited based off of your two description. Certainly, Josh, you're literally an active, teacher dealing with it, and you've discussed as much in your video. But when I was in, I graduated from college in 2024, so I was like, I got out like just before it really got in.
Last chopper out of Saigon, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like those kids who graduated high school in 2019, watching what happens to the school system in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the I could already see like people it's not aftershocks, but it's like it's like the warnings, like you know how like earthquakes, but before an earthquake there'll be tiny little earthquakes before that are like warnings of something bigger to come. I like started seeing some of those because like because ChatGPT at that point was worse than it is now. As terrifying as that is to think, but it was able to like convincingly write like a 5-paragraph, what looks like a 5-paragraph essay. I say write in like the quote unquote terms of
And isn't that an indictment of the standard college essay structure and expectations?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that I remember I had a teacher, a professor, who said that to him, the issue with the fact that kids were turning in like ChatGPT essays was not so much that that AI was getting so good that it could write an essay, is that it was because to him it was an indictment of how formulaic and how like standardized like essay writing had become in school, and especially high school. Like it's better in college, but not by much in a lot of cases. But so what his proposal was to like completely reshape his curriculum in a way that focused on teaching the skills rather than like rewarding having an essay kind of a thing. Like I'd be curious to see what you thought about that, because you talked about something kind of similar in your video.
Yeah, and I can say I think it is tricky. I think AI is a bunch of different problems in education, and I hope that you guys are having a good time with this in post, because I've been having trouble with my microphone. So I actually recorded a script the other night based on I was at a conference for educators, and there was an AI conference. There was an AI panel that I went to unwisely and ended up with a depression headache and went back to my hotel room and wrote a video. So I think there probably, hopefully, microphone permitting, coming from me is going to be a series of short, like specific responses to some ideas about AI. Because I don't want to make another year-long chaotic video extravaganza every time I have a thought.
Yeah.
I would like to make weird chaotic video extravaganzas about other stuff. But I think like
You don't want to be the AI guy.
what
You don't want to be the
problem
extrapolating video length every other year AI guy.
exactly. But AI is a whole bunch of different problems that hit different parts of education differently. And one of the biggest things about writing, I think that what you said, TSD, is exactly right. I think part of the problem with a lot of high school, especially high school, but even college writing, is that it has become so formulaic that a computer can do it. Right. And like that is not what the point of writing is supposed to be. And so one of the things that I will often say to my colleagues when they're talking about having problems with AI in writing is that, like, okay, what are you trying to assess with this assignment or with this activity, right? Like, what is it you are trying to figure out? Because I don't have a ton of problems with AI in my classes, which is not to say that students aren't using it. I know that students are using it, but part of what I'm trying to say is that what I've been trying to say in the videos that nobody seems to quite get their head around is that AI genuinely, the things that I am supposed to be teaching students to do are things that AI cannot do.
Right.
And so when students use AI in my classes, what they end up with, like one of the comments that I got is like, okay, well, what grade does a paper that was generated by AI receive? As if the grading policy, like having an AI policy for grading, is the only way to answer that question, right? Like if I said AI is 100% permissible in my class, the students who used it would fail because AI cannot meet the learning outcomes for my class, right? So for me, AI is a different kind of problem than it is for somebody who teaches like history, right? Who maybe is assigning writing as a way of assessing the way that students understand the content, right? In content-based classes, AI can demonstrate knowledge of content in a lot of cases. And so it becomes a much different kind of problem. But to my mind, if what you're trying to assess is domain knowledge, what do you know about this information we have covered in the class, that doesn't need to be a writing assignment. Like there's lots of other ways that you can assess that are not an essay, especially if you're not also trying to teach specific like disciplinary writing stuff, which again, AI will struggle with because AI doesn't necessarily have disciplinary fluency.
Yeah, so it's like one of the things that when I was very fortunate to have some teachers in high school who like really cared about challenging how like the school system did things. And one of the things that I remember one of my teachers saying was that it would be a 5-paragraph like essay. It was not the same teacher, but I had a drama professor who I had my issues with because, you know, he's a drama professor and those guys are usually never like fully all there a little bit. But what I really liked his approach to teaching in some ways, in that he didn't really give out like fail grades if someone was trying. Cause like, and of course it's drama, so it's not like there's like a common core like standard he needs to meet based off the state standards. But the way he looked at it was that if someone was genuinely trying, if someone was like willing to, it was like trying their hardest to learn and was engaging with the material, they were succeeding and in learning. And that was what was important rather than getting the information specifically right. And that always stuck with me. I don't think it's like a perfect 100% size-fits-all philosophy, but I think that the idea of like trying to, you know, it sounds obvious, but like trying to create like a curriculum or a way of learning that is focused on the learning part rather than on the like the knowing part, if that makes sense. Like I obviously I'm not a teacher or have any kind of academic like expertise on how to proliferate it, but to me it seems like the core like disconnect is that so much of like our education system, especially in America, I don't know what it's like in other countries, but in America it's so focused on knowing something rather than it is on like teaching and learning and sharing ideas. And so like something like a Socratic seminar is more valuable to someone, can be more valuable to someone who's in high school, who's learning about a topic, because they have to think about the ideas and engage with them on their feet, than like an essay where the goal is almost, in like a history class, is almost to like just regurgitate the information.
Yeah, and I think it is tricky. I think most of my students, I think, come in with the same mindset you described. And I don't think that you're wrong, especially in a case like drama. Like there are cases where like that is more or less the approach that I take in my creative writing classes, for example. Like it is really hard to have like an objective measure of creative writing, like because people do all kinds of weird stuff. And like that's kind of the point. But at the same time, if we think about it sort of on the other side, it's fairly obvious that like if you were like, you don't want your heart surgeon to be somebody who got his medical license because he got a smiley face and trying hard, right?
Yeah.
Like you want to make sure that they actually know where your heart is, like not metaphorically, but like they don't cut open your leg to try to fix your aorta. Like there are all kinds of things where like we do want to reward and encourage effort and build our education system in a way where students know if I work hard, I will be rewarded. But we also need to be able to have classes where it's like, okay, this is what you need to know at the end of this class. Because if you don't know this stuff at the end of this class and I move you on because you worked really hard, you're going to get in the next class and you're going to struggle and fail because you haven't built your skill to the point where you're ready to tackle that next obstacle.
But Josh, what about No Child Left Behind? What about No Child Left Behind, Josh?
Sure.
I think your essay does a great job at sort of capturing the complexity of, what learning is, what is required of learning and kind of institutions of learning and the accreditation of learning and knowledge. It's hard and there are a lot of questions to ask, but none of the answers include AI in the form that certain powers that be are currently thinking it might do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the script that I recorded and then gave up on because my audio was too janky will probably be coming out fairly soonish. But like essentially it is a response to one of the very first things that I heard in that panel that made me so mad the other day, which was AI is everywhere in education, which is true. Like people are using AI across the educational system at all levels in 1,000 different ways. Like it is here. We cannot unring the bell. But, and I agree with that. But the thing that he said next was that we can't have a conversation about should we be using it? We are already using it. The question is like, how do we build an ethical and a policy for the ethical and responsible use of AI? And like, what if we decide that there is no such thing as ethical, responsible use of AI? I think if we do good consideration, that is the outcome. Like, I don't think there is such a thing as ethical use of AI. Specifically of generative AI in the form of large language models in the way that it is being produced, subsidized, and marketed by companies like Anthropic right now, right?
We should clarify that this podcast stance, is not necessarily against anything that uses any of the underlying transformer-based technology in any, broader capacities. Like in health situations, in construction, there are lots of interesting uses of these, and we shouldn't necessarily tar the entire technological kind of landscape it sits in with the same brush, but like, because you get pedants sometimes, but you will know what we're talking about when we talk about this kind of, primarily generative large language, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you know what we're saying.
Sora, R.I.P.
R.I.P. by the way.
And like, Claude or whatever. Did you see that Webby Awards rewarded Claude as the 2026 Person of the Year?
Oh my God.
Fucking ow. But like the thing,
Josh, actually, I just want to jump in real quick before I forget this because my brain is a sieve. So the discussion is, and rightly so, AI is here, people are using it, let's talk about that. Is there any discussion that you've been hearing on your end about the thing I've been hearing a lot about the past couple of weeks, which is the kind of quite rapid switch to token-based billing and the kind of the pulling back of some of these subsidies in the way that the cost is calculated? Like, yes, we're using it now. Is there any sense on your end that like, maybe if prices go up 10 times in the next couple of months, we will use it less?
nobody that I have heard in any of these conversations is thinking about that except me. Okay. Which is not to say that nobody else is, but like that did not come up. That was a thing that I wanted to ask, because like the person who did this the presentation was talking about like, well, here are some of the ways that I've used AI, and like I wanted to ask like, hey, do you know what your unsubsidized token cost is? Because
how much is that going to cost you in 2 months' time?
And like this is part of the reason that I want to make these sort of shorter, less intensive videos is because I feel like there's a bunch of stuff like that we need to talk about, because somebody on one of the Discord servers that I was on, we were having a conversation about this, and they were talking about, you know, they were an engineer, and one of their engineering professors was encouraging the use of LLMs to solve specific kinds of engineering problems. Like, hey, like it's just faster to do it this way. And I get that. Like, people often compare the like LLMs to like the calculator, right? Like the calculator in like you know, absolutely revolutionized the way that we teach math. And like it was a huge change. People who are my age definitely heard like, you're not going to have a calculator with you every time you have to do a math problem. And then of course we do. Right. So like that was a case where a new technology changed the way that we teach a subject. And I think that was completely fine. And there are two reasons that I think the calculator is a fine technology for us to be using. The first is
it doesn't run on human misery.
Okay, there's three. The first is that it is deterministically correct, right? Like if you put in a math problem, you are going to get the correct answer every time because of the way the technology works. The fact that is not true of large language models is essentially what I argue in the AIRDBUD video. Like, that is why we can't use it in education, because it's not, I didn't use this term, but it's not deterministically correct. It is not reliably, consistently, unavoidably correct.
Right.
And then the second reason that I think calculators are okay is that you can buy one. Right? Like, you can go to the store and buy a calculator, and then you own a calculator. And when I was in college, it was a thing that people complained about. Like, I have to spend $200 on a graphics calculator. Like, yeah, you have to spend $200 on a graphing calculator, but then you own a graphing calculator. You don't have to pay per calculation. And
Holy shit. If calculators were invented today, they would 100% be subscription-based.
Exactly.
Sharing economy bullshit.
But think about... Like, I still can do long division, right? I usually do it with a calculator. I could do it by myself. It takes a lot longer, right? Think about that engineering student who is being told to use Claude to solve this kind of problem. I don't know to what extent we are ensuring that person can solve that kind of problem in a more traditional way. But I am 100% sure that the person who is teaching their students to use Claude in that way is not necessarily aware of the underlying pricing structures that Anthropic is using, right? Yeah. Because the thing that I think, the only way that AI sticks around, right? AI as it currently exists is a bubble that is doomed to fail because they don't have a path to profit. Right? Like OpenAI has just cut their prices, if I'm remembering correctly, because like to keep up with Claude, despite the fact that even at their higher prices, like they can't get people to keep they can't get people to keep using it if they are charging even close to what it actually costs. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But if what happens is they can keep this hamster wheel spinning for a few more years, then we have a generation of engineers that doesn't know how to do it without Claude. And then those people will have to pay however much Anthropic decides to charge because we have failed them, because we have not taught them to do the thing they're supposed to do. They have to pay whatever preposterous unsubsidized cost Anthropic demands in order to do their job because we haven't trained them.
I think that one of the things this reminded me of something that I saw the other day, which was it was like an ad on Reddit, because of course every AI has fucking ads everywhere now. Yesterday I was watching the new Spider-Man show on Amazon with Nick Cage, and there was a fucking ad for like ChatGPT that was like, oh, if I touch it, oh my god, the stuff in my room starts floating around. It's like I'm being visited by aliens. Oh, it's so freaking cool. It doesn't show anything it's actually doing, of course, but
Yeah. Well, they never do.
it's like vibes-based marketing. Anyway.
The AI adverts always think that like we're all just little stupid bugs.
But it was like an ad on Reddit that was like, we've learned now that saying no to AI doesn't work, and I was just like, says fucking who, you know?
Says the AI company.
It's like, says the AI company who has a direct incentive to sell this to me. Yeah, I guess.
Is failing to
and that's
do so
why
enough.
that's what prompted the video that I recorded the other night, because like everything, like the fact that it's everywhere doesn't mean we can't get rid of it. Like leaded gasoline was everywhere, and we figured out that it was causing brain damage, and so we
Asbestos.
The
got
cancer
rid of
thing
it.
in the roofs.
Asbestos was everywhere.
What's that? Asbestos, yeah.
Yeah, like lawn darts. I don't know. Are you guys old enough to remember lawn darts?
I don't remember
I
lawn
don't
darts,
know.
but I know of
I don't
them.
think they made it over here.
I know of
This
lawn
is a
darts.
thing when I was a kid. Think about a dart. Now increase it by 10 times and make it about 5 pounds heavier.
Okay.
That's
You
what a
throw it in
lawn
your
dart was.
backyard.
The idea was, you throw it in your backyard in a hula hoop. And so essentially what's happening is here's a toy for children that is
That will kill a child.
ballistic missile. It will absolutely kill a child. And so we said, okay, we're not selling those anymore, right? Like, we absolutely have the ability to decide this was a bad idea. It is everywhere. So now we got to figure out how to move forward. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that it exists and that it is commonplace does not mean that we are incapable of making decisions about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I saw a study a friend shared the other day. Apparently, like in some certain situations in clinical trials or whatever, they found that eating kimchi helped to reduce microplastics in the human body. So we just need to find the kimchi for AI. And hey, maybe the AI companies will supply that kimchi themselves in short order.
yeah, I think that
That would be hard for me because I'm not sure if I like. It's genuinely possible that I dislike kimchi more than I dislike AI.
that's awesome. That's so cool.
I think you're going to say microplastics.
No,
but
I've tried it so many times. I want to like it. I know it's good. It doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. I'm a bad person.
But on that microplastics thing, something I saw also was that because, this is a preface to all this. The world is a bit of a scary place, to put it mildly. And I think I've been trying recently to like not just let myself be inundated with like every awful thing that's happening in the world. I try to diversify my feed a little bit, so I'm seeing stuff that I like, seeing stuff that's like the news that's important, but I'm also trying to find I'm deliberately going out of my way to see if I can find like stories that like about things that are good that are happening in the world, just so I don't go insane.
Yeah.
And I've managed to find this story that I came across. I was talking about how like it was weirdly like underreported, but like there was a study coming out that was saying that apparently the like level of microplastics that was being reported in like food and stuff and water and stuff was coming into question because someone had run a study on rubber gloves, the rubber gloves that every scientist uses for everything ever.
Oh my God.
And they found the same type of microplastics in those gloves that shed
awesome.
off. And so it raised this huge question of like, wait, are there actually this much? There's this like factoid of like, oh, you have enough microplastics in you that could fill up like a credit card or whatever. It's just like
that's awesome.
The fact is that
if true,
is like it could be true. It could be true. We don't know. But the thing is that the idea that just that fact that like we don't know for sure, it makes it like it's a little bit scary because it's like, oh shit, how did we fucking?
There's a margin of error.
How did we miss that? But also it's like Well, sometimes things look terrible, but like that doesn't always mean that things are terrible, or even if they are terrible, it doesn't mean that things can't be fixed and we can't find a way to do. And obviously, this doesn't mean that like microplastics isn't an issue. It is an issue, and we do need to find a way to fix it. But like, I don't know. I think that the other thing with like ChatGPT as well. I was talking to my friend who is a lot more like pessimistic than I am, and he was talking about how he feels like AI is going to stick around forever, and because it's got making so much money. And I pointed out to him that like, well, OpenAI is losing money constantly, and he's like, yeah, but like they're going to start charging a subscription for something, and then they'll be fine. And then I said to him, well, they do already, and they're still losing money. They charge like $20 a month for like ChatGPT Pro or whatever. And like that, like actually like stopped him for a moment. It's like, huh, like it's like, I don't know. This is kind of,
the heart is powerful.
This is kind of getting away from like the original point, but like, I just think that it's good to like, there's something I liked about your video, Josh, I guess to circle back around to the actual point, is that I was watching it and I was thinking, yes, this is a problem. Yes, we need to fix this. But I never felt like, and this is a compliment to this is a testament, I think, to your ability with rhetoric, I guess. I never felt like everything's so fucked watching this, which I often feel while watching coverage of AI stuff. And I think I really loved your video because it felt like, hey, addressing an issue. This is a big issue, but it feels like it's addressing it in like a almost clinical way. That's like, okay, well, here's the issue. What can we do about it? How does the exact mechanics of this work? How do we go about doing this? And it doesn't fill you with dread in the same way that a lot of other things do. And it does that without being overly like cheery about what's going on or like downplaying the issue. And I thought that was a really, really cool thing that your video did. I wanted to congratulate you on that because I feel the same. I think you can do it consistently. It's not a fluke. I feel the same about your previous video from last year about how you are a better writer than AI. I don't know. It's funny because like you say shit like in that video, like the truth is dead and there's a anti-vaxxer in charge of vaccines in that video, but I still don't feel like a sense of dread coming away from it, which I think is just a testament to your ability to talk about it sensibly.
I can tell you the trick. The trick is it's actually pretty easy. If you put enough dogs in a video, it's really hard to be sad.
Some Vikings add a little spice of levity as well.
Yeah.
It reminds me of something I think Naomi Klein wrote in Doppelganger, which is a book of hers I've read recently, which is like, paraphrasing horribly. It's even when you're talking about like kind of soul destroying, mind rending things, like if you're doing so with the kind of the project of kind of systemizing the world, like drawing through lines, creating knowledge and disseminating it, then like, no matter how bad things are, even if they're really bad, then like that act is a positive thing that is, it's a plus, even if it's mired in minuses, that itself is a plus.
Yeah, one of the things that I've heard from a number of people, and I've heard this sort of in two directions, and I hear it, I agree with both of these people. I've had a number of comments that are very cynical, and I think not incorrectly, about the education system. And who say like, who hear sort of what I'm saying about the project of education and say like, no, that's not it. Like education is just a series of hoops that you can jump through, that you have to jump through in order to be employable, right? There is no actual learning involved. Like it is simply a mathematics of like time in a classroom, and that at the end of that, your earning potential changes. And there are even others who sort of go a step further, which again, I don't disagree with. They don't invoke Althusser, but they are essentially identifying correctly the education system as an ideological state apparatus, right? They are saying like the point of the point of the education system is to indoctrinate students in, what the demands of the corporate overlords are. And I hear that. But for me, so and the people on the other side are people who say, and I take this as a compliment, I will not endorse it in the same way, because they are, I think they are complimenting me in a way that I hope my students would agree with, but that they're so lucky to have you as a teacher because you obviously care about what you do, right? And you care about education as a project that is something beyond, simply doing what our corporate
Yeah.
And I do my level best to be the best teacher that I can. I fear sometimes that I'm a better teacher on YouTube than I am in the classroom. But I do think for me, the project of education is helping people become scholars and to cultivate an academic approach to the world. And so I think what I'm hearing, or maybe what I'm hoping to connect with, Pillar, in what you were saying, is this idea that if we are knowledge building, if we are actively attempting to make meaning out of this chaotic world, then we are sort of doing the work of education, and that is positive, even if the context in which we are doing it is bleak. And I think that's what I'm trying to do, right? I am trying to make meaning out of bleakness, and even if I can't eliminate the bleakness, there is a small amount of light in the making of new meaning anyway.
Yeah. Certainly.
Yeah. Man, I love education. I hate the education system.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Obviously there is truth we all hear in the critiques you've had, and then also I'm sure TSD can speak to this as well. I can hold that as being true and valid and meaningful and important to think about in my head, and also realize that if I didn't go to uni and do my English literature course, would I be able to make any of the videos I've made on my channel? Would I? Fuck no, absolutely not. Thing can be good and bad. Thing can contain multitudes.
I think that I've been very, very, very fortunate to have had some great teachers in my life. And I know that I'm very fortunate because my brother went through almost exactly the same schools that I did and had terrible teachers. So it really is just, it really can just come down to I'm saying that, I guess that I'm saying this to you, Josh, but I'm also saying this to anyone who's listening who might be in any kind of position to teach, that having a good teacher, having someone who cares about what they're teaching, someone who cares about the fact that their students are learning from what they're teaching, and someone who isn't just there to check a box, that can change someone so fundamentally when they're at that young an age. And I'm sure you know this. I'm sure you've heard this said a million times before, but when I was younger, I loved math for a long time. It was one of my favorite subjects, and I was one of the only kids in school who always did well in math, and I thought, well, I don't always understand fully what's going on, but I love learning about how these things work. I love learning it because I like to think of it as a puzzle. But when I was in high school, I took an honors algebra 2 teacher class, and the teacher in that class didn't really help. Okay, so she didn't seem very focused on teaching, and she would always pick favorites as to who was teaching in the class, and she spent so much time complaining about the fact that she never got to be an engineer like she wanted, and she made it clear that she just hated being a teacher, and that manifested in her just being very arbitrary about who would get good grades and who would do well. And I think she unfortunately, she did such damage to my interest in math that after that was the last math class I ever took, because I never wanted to do anything else with math again. And I feel, I'm like, I think about that, looking back on that, and I think about how different my life could have been maybe if like I hadn't had that experience. Because conversely, around the same time, I had an English teacher who loved teaching English so much. She lived and breathed like English literature. She would talk about, she taught me Animal Farm. She taught me, Of Mice and Men. She taught me Lord of the Flies, and I hated Lord of the Flies, but I loved learning about it from her. And she instilled in me this she instilled me this love of literature that made me so receptive to it that the next year when we studied Frankenstein with a different teacher, it became one of my favorite pieces, one of my favorite stories I've ever taken in, and that still remains. So I don't know. I feel like I've been kind of rambling a little bit, but I just think that that education is so important to having a solid understanding of the world, and just shaping who you are as a person. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess education is a system, but also a sequence of social and personal connections.
I have so much respect for teachers that love what they do. Is basically what I'm saying, I guess.
I appreciate you, TSD, and I have two different things that I want to say back to that. One of them is to kind of anchor you in a pedagogical conversation that has been going on for longer than any of us have been alive. Mm-hmm. And like the thing that you said about that math teacher sort of changing the way you feel about math. John Dewey, more than 100 years ago, I think, in Experience and Education wrote, perhaps the greatest of all pedagogical fallacies is the notion that a person learns only what he is studying at the time. Collateral learning in the way of formation of enduring attitudes may be and often is more important than the spelling lesson or the lesson in geography or history, for these attitudes are fundamentally what count in the future.
Yeah.
And I think it is very uncommon, and especially it is if you knew how few educators have any actual training in education, you would probably experience substantial distress. So for me, in my context, in order to I teach English at a community college. In order to teach English at a community college, there's a whole list of sort of minimum requirements that varies certainly by context. In my state, you have to have a master's degree in English or in literature or in a number of other degrees with a bachelor's in literature. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can get. But most of the people who end up teaching English at a college level in my state are people who have a master's degree in literature. You can get a master's degree in literature without taking a single class in pedagogy, without having any study of education or learning whatsoever. If you are really big into medieval lit and you take a whole bunch of classes on, medieval poetry, and you write your doctoral or your master's thesis on the Dream of the Rood, you can come out of there knowing a ton about medieval literature, but having never taught a single class, never worked with a student, having never given feedback to another writer, and then go immediately from there into teaching college English.
Mm-hmm. I've got a master's in lit, and I've never done any of that stuff.
Yeah, you could come over here and teach.
That's
English.
Awesome. I'm going to ruin a generation of Americans.
You're already doing
most
that.
Of my math colleagues, this is no disrespect at all to my colleagues in math. It's a weird situation because most of my colleagues who teach math in particular, because it is a strange situation in our state, because the math that most students are not going into STEM, right? Most students are not necessarily, don't need calculus. And
Yeah.
My math professor colleagues got into math and got their graduate degrees because they were really interested in some like deep math stuff, usually that I'm not even capable of understanding, right? The stuff that they studied, that they did their theses on, is beyond something that I have ever needed to know. And so many of them have now found themselves teaching statistics, which is math that they never even really studied because it wasn't relevant to their, like, they know about statistics, but they don't have deep knowledge in the way that they do in the places where they got their thesis.
Learning about triangles, teaching about squares.
Yeah. So the education system is a really messy, complicated thing. And so on the one hand, I think a lot of educators don't necessarily have the training in pedagogy that would help them to think about that, again, what Dewey calls collateral learning. Like, what is, other than the content of my lesson, what else am I teaching my students? How am I shaping the way that they think and feel about both the thing that I'm teaching and about their role as a learner and a person in the world? Like, that is I think about that kind of stuff a lot. And I think about that kind of stuff a lot because I was trained to, because I took a path into English that also included the study of pedagogy, and I feel extremely fortunate for that. So not everybody, like, the things it takes to be a good teacher are both not things that most teachers get taught and things that are not intuitive, things that require a lot of extra learning and study outside of the field that you are teaching. So I really empathize with teachers because almost all teachers, the majority of the work that they do is stuff that is outside of their training. At least at the college and university level, at the K-12 level, at the pre-secondary level, things are different because there's different credentialing requirements that's outside of my expertise. But the second thing that I wanted to say to what you were talking about earlier, TSD, is that, like, I think you are absolutely correct. And, like, I hope that I don't end up sounding like one of those, like, locus of control assholes. Because, like, I'm not attempting to, like, blame anyone for having a victim mentality.
Right.
But I think probably all of us on this call and probably all of us listening to this podcast can think of the teachers that we had that were great and that were inspiring, and the teachers that we had that were kind of ass and where we got nothing out of those classes. And I do think that there is a way in which, like, whether we're aware of it or not, we make a choice about which of those teachers we allow to be representative of the education system, right? Like, do I look at the education system as a place where there's a ton of shitty teachers and I had these good teachers who are outliers, right? Or do I look at the education system as a place where, all they are doing is checking boxes and there are the few rare educators here and there? Or do I look at those few rare educators, like the good teachers I have, and saying, like, these are the people who are doing what education is supposed to do, and, like, these other people, like, they are, like, it's not that they are succeeding at a system that sucks. It is that they suck in a system that has,
like, open
valuable aims.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. I don't know. I don't. I can't believe I just said it's tough, that it's tough about the education system to an educator, but
Yeah.
but I think that for me, the way I look at it is that the education system is very flawed, but it's not, like, necessarily a good or bad entity in of itself. It's just a system where, like, where like great educators can find their paths in, and people who are kind of shitty at educating can also make their home in. And maybe it's a flaw that those like shitty educators can like, you know, like not necessarily have a job. Like, I'm not saying they should all be unemployed or whatever, but like that they
and unhoused
and
official position.
and killed with rocks and thrown out on the streets.
Put in the trebuchet. Put in the Pillar of Garbage podcast trebuchet.
But like it would be like if the system rewarded getting that training and like that you discussed, like the training that's kind of outside of their field of study. Because I don't know, there's a lot of stories of people who were like brilliant scientists who went on to become college professors and maybe weren't the best at being a college professor.
Yeah, I think please do not take any of the things that I've just said as denying the existence of a great many substantial systemic failures within the education system, because there are a lot of those. And like, okay, I will give an example. Sorry, I don't know if you thought that you were inviting me on this podcast to talk about the education system for many hours, but you probably should have known that.
Yeah,
that's
I think we knew that was a risk.
Yeah. You're a college
like,
professor who makes video essays. I feel like that's almost like on the warning label.
I thought he just wanted to talk about Batman the whole time.
Okay, so like
we will talk about AIRDBUD later.
I was talking to somebody at this conference that I was at, and like we were talking about like how to solve this particular problem in my own institutional context. And I explained like, well, here's this problem that we have. And immediately and correctly, this guy said, that's a stupid problem. Like the problem that you're having is because you are doing a very stupid thing that you don't have to do. And I was like, oh, you're right. Like this thing we have been doing is very stupid, but it's a stupid thing that we have been doing for a very long time. And it is just sort of how we do it, right? Yeah. Like it takes somebody from the outside to come in and look at and say like, that's stupid. Here's why this problem exists. And he was absolutely right. And like, now it's on my radar to like de-stupid that particular thing. But like, there's a million things like that. And like systems, the bigger a system gets, the dumber it has to be. Yeah. So yesterday, I'm going to out my current location. Yesterday I was at Disneyland, and we were at Disneyland at night, which is one of my least favorite places to be. If there is a category of human being for whom I have the least empathy, like the people who I find it hardest to understand in the world are people who direct traffic with their hands. Like, we have all of these rules about how traffic works, and then you're just going to stand in front of a car and point in the wrong direction. And like, sometimes we employ people to do that, and Disneyland employs a lot of people to do that. And like, it is maddening. And so yesterday, we were trying to go from the Jungle Cruise. I assume that all of your readers have an intimate and perfect knowledge of the geography of Disneyland.
Naturally.
We were trying to go.
I love the Jungle Cruise so much. When I went there, I was like so underwhelmed by it.
We were trying to go from the Jungle Cruise to Thunder Mountain Railroad. And there is a point in that walk where like you can walk 10 feet down a pathway that connects where you are and where you're going. And last night, there was a cast member with a flashlight who said, this is a one-way walkway.
Ooh.
You can't go that way right now. And I'm like, it is 10 feet. There is absolutely no reason that I cannot walk from here to there. And I said, okay, well, how do I get there? Because that's the place that I need to go. And she said, you need to walk this way, go out that way, make a U-turn, and come back. And literally, she described a 300-foot walk to get to the place 10 feet away from me. That, like, I wasn't, like, it wasn't a different path. It was just, you got to go out this long way and come back to get, like, I could walk there in 3 seconds. But you've introduced a 2-minute walk. And like, I empathize with that. Education is the same way. And like, as a human individual who is in the system in the moment, I can say the thing you are asking me to do is obviously stupid on a human level, right? But the people who are devising these traffic paths are looking at patterns that are so far zoomed out that like the individual doesn't exist, right? What is happening is these flows of thousands of people who are bumbling around like dinguses, most of whom don't know where they're going. And like, they are trying to control the flow of these huge traffic patterns. And the system that they create likely is going to create all kinds of obstacles for individuals because they are trying to control these massive crowds. And also, that doesn't mean that they're doing it right. Some of the stuff that they're doing may genuinely be stupid, but because they are so far away from the individual, it's hard to think about, like, the number of levels that they have to think on in devising these traffic control it's impossible to get it right, I think.
Indeed.
And
to
certainly
yes and this real
impossible.
quick. It is the argument of David Graeber in The Utopia of Rules, which I read like last week and is startlingly relevant to this discussion, that it kind of has to, the bigger it gets, the higher it gets away from the human level, it necessarily becomes stupider. So just wanted to put a little reading rec in there for the listener. But please do continue.
That sounds like a thing that I will read. So I was using this, obviously, I hope obviously, as a metaphor for the education system. Like, there are all of these systems that we build because we are handling such a large number of people who all have diverse aims and destinations and pathways. Like, no two people are taking the exact same pathway through the education system, but we have to build these systems that can accommodate all of them and try to steer them all where they're trying to go. And like, as a result, we are going to do a lot of stupid stuff, and we are going to do a lot of smart stuff that feels stupid to the people who have to navigate the system. And we're going to do a lot of stuff that we think is smart, but that everybody on the ground knows is stupid. Like, all of those things are going to happen at the same time. And I don't know that there's a magic solution to that problem, except to keep trying to do it better and to listen to people at all levels.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that I learned at this conference that is going to be one of my priorities going forward is there are lots of levels where the amount of student involvement is not where it is supposed to be.
Yeah.
There are things that we talk about that, like, I just learned that we are very aware of, like, hey, faculty need to be involved in this decision. And like, there are lots of places where students are legally entitled to the same level of involvement in that decision. And like, we are not aware of it. So there are lots of places. There is a ton of room for improvement in the education system. But I don't think that we should let that fact make it so that we just say, like, well, education is a waste of time. It's all performance. Like, no, it's a thing that sucks and that we can make suck less.
Do you think that zooming out from, so relating what you said about how like people at the top make these like big decisions that are stupid from like on an individual level, but they make like perfect sense if like you're like a corporate suit sitting like, well, you know, if the number goes up if you do that. Do you think if we zoom that out and we take that, do you think that that's the kind of reasoning that led to a series that started in the 90s with a dog that could play basketball because there ain't no rule, leading into an entire superhero epic about aliens from space coming to that dog's children and giving them multicolored rings that allow them to fight aliens?
Absolutely. You may think you're joking. I don't think you are.
I'm not joking. I'm kind of jokey transitioning, but like not a joke, no.
AIRDBUD starts out with a dog whose owner thinks that he is cool. It is a dog that can do some basketball tricks. And like, if I'm remembering right, which I'm probably not, because believe it or not, I don't have comprehensive knowledge about the AIRDBUD series.
In fact,
Don't. You'll ruin his whole career.
If in fact,
everybody knows who has been paying attention that I have not seen AIRDBUD.
And there it fucking is. Okay.
It is not
fraud.
a thing I am shy about.
Fraud.
I am not.
The death of expertise.
The death of expertise, guys. He's a hypocrite.
If I were making an in-depth review of AIRDBUD as a film, then yes, I would have done a bad job. If I had wanted to do that, I would have watched the movie.
Ain't no rule that says a video essay gotta...
Ain't no rule. But yeah, sorry.
Okay, but AIRDBUD basically starts out as a guy who has a cool dog and is like, look at what my cool dog can do. And I think he gets on like America's Funniest Home Videos. Like, this is before videos go viral, but like there was a sort of sub-viral video before the internet where like a cool thing, like a dog would do something cool, and then it would get spread around like all the local news channels. Like, there's a dog in Florida that can ski.
Did you know that America's Funniest Home Videos is still going?
How is the dog skiing in Florida?
Bananas. I meant water ski, but I just said ski. It would be even more impressive. Like, the dog has to travel to Vale. Like, the dog gets on a bus.
The dog
can materialize a snowy
sitting
mountain.
on a ski lift.
Dog's making a 25-minute transfer at LAX.
But, like, if I remember correctly, the story of AIRDBUD is this guy thinks his dog is cool. The dog starts getting attention on things like America's Funniest Home Videos. And then the guy is like, I can make a movie. Like, this dog can do more. And
this is the story in real life. You're not describing the plot of the movie.
Yeah, no, this is the story in real life of how these movies came to be. The story in real life of how these movies came to be is that a dude had a cool dog. And was like, I can make something out of this, right?
Who among
like
us?
This guy's ambition for his cool dog eventually turned into the first couple of AIRDBUD movies. And like in the process, he got hooked up with some like, with a direction, like with some directors and a production team. I may be getting a lot of this wrong because I don't remember all the details. Please fact check me.
I'm going to do it right now.
Eventually, the original AIRDBUD sort of loses like that guy. The franchise grows beyond that guy's ambitions and becomes a corporate product that like now there's people thinking about like, how do we franchise? How do we syndicate? How do we take this guy's cool dog and turn him into a merch line, Yeah. And like that's how we end up with all of this other stuff that has nothing to do with my dog is cool.
Yeah.
And eventually, and like this is, if you watch the more recent John Oliver AIRDBUD stuff, he documents this part pretty concretely. Basically, the new 2026 AIRDBUD movie they don't have a dog. They don't have like all they have is the name AIRDBUD, and they have to start from scratch. It's different people who have acquired the rights, but they're like, we gotta merchandise the AIRDBUD, right? Or like we have to exploit this name that we own. So they recruit a dog via TikTok. Like they don't. I think they don't even have a director. Again, go watch the John Oliver segments. Like. But it is absolutely like a thing that has grown way out of proportion and disconnected from.
So when
the
you
thing
said
that it started with,
when you said they don't have a dog, I thought you meant like they don't have the conceptual dog, that like the cool dog that grounds these movies to a human scale. But you mean they literally did not have a dog; they just had the rights.
They did a TikTok poll that said,
They did.
Can your dog play basketball? Please send us video.
Well, here's the thing: no dogs
they
can.
recruited the dog via TikTok.
Oh,
That's awesome.
they're going in the trebuchet too.
So I hear everything you're saying. I hear everything you're saying, Josh, and I think you make a lot of good points. But you fail to consider that Super Buddies went triple platinum in my household. Okay, Super Buddies was on all the time, and I ate that shit up as a kid. So the plot of Super Buddies is basically just Superman's origin story, but he's a dog, and then he gets made into comics, and then he also has like magic rings, and he's also not really a dog; he's actually an alien. So it's actually not like Superman at all.
So it's kind of like
Crypto
Crypto the Super Dog.
But it's not. It's
Sort
actually,
of Crypto vibes. It's giving Crypto.
But no, he's an alien. He's not an alien in the sense that he's like a dog-shaped alien. He's literally like a little green man, like bipedal alien. But he's just transformed into a dog and stuck as a dog. Also, looking at the production for AIRDBUD, everything that you've said is accurate, Josh, except for the fact that originally Kevin DeKiko, I don't know how you pronounce that. Kevin, the guy who owned Buddy, he's formed a production company called AIRDBUD Productions, but he also hated the name AIRDBUD, and he wanted to call the film Buddy, but they didn't let him because there was already a movie with that title that had been released earlier that was made by Jim Henson, and it was about a gorilla. So
gorilla copyright trumps dog copyright is what I'm hearing from.
I'm guessing, yeah. It also came out like 2 months before the movie did, so.
That's one of your classic double asteroid destroying the Earth movie situation, you know, where there's
Ants
there's
versus
the
A
woman,
Bug's
Bruce
Life.
Willis. Yeah, exactly. But
That happened. That happened to me once. I was writing for a magazine, and they're like, "We want you to do like a regular column that does this kind of thing that you're doing." And I was like, But
Bizarro Josh,
they're trying to help me. Oh yeah, they were trying to get me to like, you know, okay, well, what would the column be named, right? And like I figured it out, and it was like so cool, and like I made a little logo for it, and I sent it to them, and they're like, you can't call it that. There is already a very large gaming magazine with that name. I was like, oh, you're right.
I really thought you were going to say, like, you pitched a concept and then they said, actually, it's the funniest thing. 30 minutes ago, a guy wearing your exact wardrobe, but like palette swapped and with a slightly different hair came into the office and...
My name is Retep, and I am evil.
No, this was truly just me being an idiot, because like I put all this into it because what I wanted to call it, because like I was doing like formal experiments in games writing, and so I was like, well, what if we called it Games in Form? And it's like, it's a pun, like both games in form and games in form. Yeah. And then my editor was like, you know that Game Informer is a thing.
Oh yeah, right? That's not going to be good for the SEO.
Right.
Search for Games Inform. Did you mean Game Informer?
I was so proud of myself, and then I was like,
It's a good title, just not a very searchable one.
It's a good title, just already exists. It's like, you know, like To Catch a Mockingbird is also a good title, but you know, there's already a book like that.
No, like it was also not a good title for a column. It's a very academic, like, you know, with brackets and a slash in the middle of a word. Colon. Like, look how nerdy I am.
It's like that old joke. You know, you couldn't make Blazing Saddles today because you would release it to theaters and people would just say, hey, that's Blazing Saddles. That already exists.
Truly a conundrum for our times. But TSD, you were talking about...
We were promised some comment cornering. So Comment Corner is
TSD.
a bit of a comeback, I think.
Comment Corner's dead. Comment Corner's been buried.
No.
You mean to invoke the Necronomicon, the podcasting spells of black magic and raise a segment from the dead?
Oh my god. Okay, well, we can do this.
I've lit all these candles. I painted this pentagram on the hotel room floor. We're gonna do the
what
ritual.
the fuck did we kill the goat for?
We're gonna do the ritual. I have to say, it's only gonna work this one time, I think. Or it's not. Okay. It's a temporary fix. Like, it's gonna, you know, Pet Sematary. You ever read Pet Sematary by Stephen King? It's gonna be like that. It's gonna come back, but it's not gonna be the same. It's gonna be evil, and it's not gonna live very long. So we're gonna have to... I
saw that book, and I saw it had a spelling mistake in the title, and I thought, well, if he's gonna make spelling mistakes in the title, I don't think the story is gonna be very good. So,
well, that's how it works. All right. So the way that you do it is that you play the Comment Corner stinger in reverse with like demonic voices underneath. Okay, so this is how.
Oh, like this.
You're right, fucking ish. Oh.
Well, technically that isn't true. They can hear it.
Correct. We're writing it down now. Shit, everybody.
I'm sorry, but I'm offended by that content. I'm sorry. I didn't ever tell them something wrong.
Just have my Asian, baby.
It's Comment Corner.
I mean, yeah, about like that. Yeah, like that.
Sounds kind of spooky, kind of spooky vibe. But yeah, we've brought Comment Corner back, limited time only, spooky edition, spooky mode, because Josh was telling us he's had some rather peculiar responses from the good folks at YouTube.com with regard to his recent essay.
I have. It's true. I don't have specific comments pulled up, but like I thought it would be like when you were asking me like what do you want to talk about, like it is bizarre for me, like my videos take a gajillion years because I'm very slow and I do them when I'm supposed to be doing other more important things, and then they mess up my life. But like this video came out in May. I have been working on it since at least October and probably earlier.
Oh, and certainly earlier. I remember reading it in, I think, August or maybe September, parts of it.
Yeah. I think the first like pieces of recording that I did maybe were in October, but like it took a million years. And like the problem with a process like mine is that things change over time. And so like there are so many things, and I don't ever know what to do about this because I don't know how to fix it. But like I get so many comments that are like, well, so like for example, I have gotten a lot of people who have given me shit about mentioning goat.
I think you saw you talking about this.
Like, as if, like, I got a comment the other day that's like, do you think GOAT is about an actual goat playing in human leagues? And I was like, no. Like, what I think GOAT is about, and this is the sort of the reason that I mention it in context, is like, it is a part of another trend of like outsiders coming into professional sports and destabilizing the league. Like, you know, here is a young up and coming goat who is gonna break into.
Can't play basketball.
Yeah, like I do not think that the main character of GOAT is an actual goat playing basketball against humans. Like I don't think it's a live action movie. It would be a great movie. Air Goat. But like but the thing about it is that when I wrote the script, the movie wasn't out yet. And so like people are commenting on the final version of my video saying like, well, like, did you even watch GOAT? And I'm like, I couldn't.
No. I know you didn't even watch AIRDBUD.
It wasn't. It was a poster.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I mean, if you kind of summed up my countless probably days at this point reading my comment sections, one of the like persistent themes that you could draw away from that as like a text, as like a literary work, is like kind of the kind of object permanence sort of thing, where like people don't realize that the video didn't just spawn into existence when they clicked on it, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot of people seem to think like, oh, video posted one day ago. Video essayist he probably had a cool thought 3 days ago, and he just kind of, you know, got the microphone out, did a little take, and, you know, press upload that, because that's how it works.
Yeah.
Some people I think do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people also think that a video posted 4 years ago is going to be relevant to whatever is happening right now, and you should have seen.
Yes.
You should have foreseen it.
Yeah, age like milk, bro. Age like milk.
I got a comment because the gift that keeps on giving, my High Top Films video. I got a comment being like, "Well, he doesn't like the new Spider-Man trailer now. What are you going to say about that?" It's like, dude, I moved on from this
Probably nothing.
years ago. Yeah. Like if I spend no time thinking about High Top Films outside of like the time that this video haunts me.
Yeah, yeah. The time thing extends in both directions. One is that like the video really exists for us before it's posted, rather than blinking into existence when it's posted, and then also it kind of stops existing for us. Like
Yes.
in less negative terms, I'll just bring something up that happened. I'm narrating this in a neutral sense in case anyone involved is listening. But someone came into my Discord server fairly recently, and they kind of like, not like aggressively, but like in a sort of semi-soft debating tone, like disagreed with something I'd said in a video in the relevant channel on my Discord server. And it's like, that's obviously completely fine, but the video in question was like more than 2 years old. So like, I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, that's a fair point to have. And the guy was sort of like, you're not going to defend yourself? I'm like, no, this video kind of doesn't exist in my brain anymore.
Mhm.
I just, it's fine. It's fine. You can feel however you want about it.
Yeah.
And like there are a couple of people, like in the early days of like when this video first came out, there are a couple of people who have come into my comments with, I think, extremely valid criticisms, right? And said like, hey, this is so, like, in particular, I make a comment in the video about banning circumcision, and in context I'm presenting it as like an absurd thing to do, right? Like, yeah, whatever, go ahead, ban circumcision. Sorry guys, we're talking about penises. I hope we're okay with that.
No. God.
But
BoJack Horseman cut away to the two crowds of pro and anti-circumcision activists behind all of our recording stations right now with pitchforks.
But like, so like, the reason that is in the video is because as I was writing the section about RFK Jr. and Tylenol, RFK Jr. was like attempting to spin up a conversation about, we got to ban circumcision because it causes autism, because something Tylenol autism. It was bonkers. And so like, I had a section in the video where like I introduced and sort of alluded to that thing, like RFK Jr.'s campaign to ban circumcision because it caused autism, which it doesn't. And I ended up cutting that section because I was doing the same thing in other ways, right? Like it didn't need to be there. And so I should have then removed that particular like ban circumcision line from where it shows up 3/4 of the way in the video. And I didn't. Like, that is more or less an editing mistake. But like, it
you should be tried at the Hague
so, like,
for that. Editing mistakes are the worst things.
Well, I've had a number of people say like, hey, like, there is a very legitimate conversation to be had about banning circumcision. Like, it is wrong to put that conversation on the same level as like banning Tylenol, right? Yeah. And I agree with that. Like, in the original context in which I created that, it made more sense than it does. In the way that it appears in the video, it seems like it comes out of nowhere. I completely understand people seeing that and thinking like, that's a wild thing to bring up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They are correct.
Yeah. And
so like, the first time I got that comment, I like posted a sort of thoughtful response, like, yeah, you're right. Here's how this happened. But like, that probably shouldn't be in the video. Right.
Yeah.
But because of the way YouTube comments work, like, nobody sees that. Right.
Yeah,
like,
and
I
then
can't
you get the same
necessarily
comment
pin
3 or 4
every
more
comment.
times. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, and I'm not going to respond to it every time.
No,
like,
you can't spend your whole week weighing the merits of circumcision in identical fashions throughout your comment section.
Comment sections, I think, part of the reason we originally even retired Comment Corner, I think, is just because comment sections are kind of like an endless pit of discourse,
of rehashing
and discourse, because like especially as the person who made the video, because if you've made the video, you've turned over the, like, unless you're like not really thinking about what you're making, which I guess is possible, but generally with what you guys do and what I did back in the day, you're like turning over this concept like over and over in your head already by yourself. And so you've thought about it from a lot of different angles. And so when you make a single mistake and then that mistake gets reiterated and reiterated over and over, like you've learned the first time. You learned from the person who commented like 2 minutes after the video came out. So you don't need to see it again from the person who's seeing it like a month from now. It's like, hey, you didn't mention, because it seems like people seem to think that if they don't see a comment in the top like 5 comments, then no one's mentioned it at all.
And also that it's very important to point out anything perceived to be a flaw.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's like this whole thing.
Sometimes it
like,
can be good to point things out.
I don't know. Like so much of internet discussion, I feel like, is kind of like one-upping each other rather than like a discussion, and that's why I think that all social media pretty much should be just like torched down with a bucket of gasoline.
Meta delenda est.
Meta delenda est. And I'm saying this. We should get comments in the video of this podcast disagreeing, and we can argue with them. I think we should do that.
I think we should spend altogether too much time in flame wars in this comment section. Yeah. Hey, listener, see you down there. I think.
Stop typing. Stop typing. We can see you typing right now.
I almost said something quite inflammatory about the listener's mother, but I pulled myself back just in time.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's a wonderful lady, and/or rest in peace.
I don't understand what comment sections are for. And I think part of it is that we don't, I think maybe I assume that my reasons for making videos align with others' reasons for making videos, and that may or may not be the case. But I think my reasons for making videos definitely do not align with most commenters' assumptions about the reasons that I make videos. And I think what my commenters think is that I am making this video to specifically persuade them, wherever they are, to think exactly like me, and that I am therefore obligated to produce a bulletproof argument that
and to defend
addresses every concern. What's that?
Like you mentioned in the video about the PhD like defense being an integral part of the system, and like commenters sometimes miss that a video essay is not a PhD and that you are not obligated to stand in front of the tribunal in the comment section.
Well, and even if it was, if you are defending a PhD dissertation, it is not because it is necessary to convince everyone on your panel that you are perfectly correct. It is to show that you have the skills and the rigor. Even if what you're presenting challenges them, you can still be awarded a PhD by a responsible panel who disagrees with the conclusions that you have come to, right? But who might say
excellent point.
But they have seen that you have done the work.
Yeah.
But I think for me, the video that will always haunt me, I've taken it down for a while before and then brought it back. It's like a 4-year-old video. It is a response to CJ the X video about Tangled. CJ the X has a video arguing that we should cut the first 5 minutes of Tangled, the Disney movie, because it's a very good video, and I think they make a very good argument. Their argument is essentially, if you get rid of the first 5 minutes of Tangled, it creates a mystery that runs through the movie that makes the narrative more effective. And I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Yeah.
But I did make a video where I disagree with that. Because essentially what my video argues is that the first 5 minutes of Tangled gives a historical and cultural context for the events of the movie that should change the way that we think about Mother Gothel and about Corona. And that
well, there's a lot of things change about how we think about Corona, if you know what I mean.
Oh, right. This is, forgive me if this is an unfamiliar use for some of you because it's going to sound really weird. But I think essentially what I am doing is queering the text, right? queer theory is a literary approach that starts with queerness, like, because there is queer critics. If you are looking at historical texts that were written in context where queerness was restricted, often to find queerness in those texts, you have to look in ways that are not necessarily surface, right? Like, you have to find the ways in which a text is queer, because even if the author intended it to be queer, they maybe could not have been queer in an explicit way, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so queer readings of texts are valid even if the texts themselves are not explicitly queer, right? They are not, like, we can find queerness. Like, maybe the classic example is the biblical story of David and Jonathan, who whose relationship is described in a way that many modern readers look at and think, oh, like, they're lovers, right? This is a gay romance. But that is, many Christian readers of the Bible are really resistant to that interpretation.
I wonder why.
Whether or not they were, whether or not that is intended, we can say that that's a valid queering of the text, right? We are reading queerness into a story where, if we look at it through that lens, yes, the elements are there, whether or not that is the intent. And that approach to criticism is bigger now, I think, than just queerness. We still call it queer theory, but essentially what that video is doing is saying, like, okay, well, if we look at the information that's provided to us in those first 5 minutes, like, it gives us a way of thinking about this story where the kingdom of Corona is an exploitation colonialist power, right? Like, where Mother Gothel, who is the villain of the movie, essentially what she is at the beginning is just a woman who is using a natural resource to stay healthy, right? Like, the flower that becomes Rapunzel is just a flower. that she, like, and then these soldiers from a faraway kingdom stampede into her forest and take her stuff, and in fact take the very resources that she needs to survive. Like, it is, I don't think that is what the filmmakers are intending, right? But it is,
it's a reading,
I think, a valid read of what is present in the film. And so the reason that I made that video is not because I think that, I'm not trying to say this is what Rapunzel is, this is what Tangled is.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to invite people to think about this in a different way, to see something there that they maybe haven't seen before. And the reason that I've unlisted that video before is because the comments are so like, no, Mother Gothel is bad, right? Like, it is not.
Yeah.
People don't want to look at an essay as an opportunity to see things differently than I have before. They want it to be a debate that somebody wins. And
it's kind of like not even wrong, right? It's like that, okay, Mother Gothel's bad, but that's kind of a different conversation entirely.
Yeah, like, Mother Gothel can be an abusive parent and also a woman who is victimized by colonialist power. Both can be true. I'm not even saying both are true, but, like, both can be true.
Yeah. And I think the reason that I made that video is twofold. One of them is that the idea that Mother Gothel is an abusive villain is extremely well represented in the film. Like, she is a Disney villain, right? Like,
she sings a song about how great it is that she's locking her daughter away, you know?
Yeah, at the end of the movie, they push her out a window and she turns to dust. Spoilers for Tangled, apologies. But, like, it's not that, like, Mother Gothel is bad is a minority position. Like, I don't feel like I need to represent that position in my argument because that's how everyone already feels. But, like, the thing that I am introducing in that video is not a thing I think that most people had thought about. Like, it is a different way. It is a new way of interrogating that, that film. And it gave me the opportunity to talk about some other bigger issues in the real world that I thought were worth talking about. And, like, all the comments that I get are like, no, Mother Gothel is a villain. Like, okay.
Yeah. Also, I'm guessing
Nice
there's
chat.
some flavor. There's probably some flavor of how dare you, a cis white man, talk about argue to be like a more woke reading of a movie than a queer person, et cetera, et cetera. Like kind of like the thing where a lot of people will kind of, instead of reading through the arguments that are being made, will be like, well, this person's making this person from this different identity is something that, like, when I was on when I was on Tumblr more, a term that was used was called oppression Olympics.
Yeah, the stupidest form of identity politics.
And it's like it descends into, like, I hate saying this term because it feels like I'm capitulating to the fucking Ben Shapiro's of the world, but it's like identity politics being made into like a whole, like,
caricature version of itself.
Almost like virtue signaling, etc., etc. All the terms I hate using because they're not bad in and of themselves, but they keep getting used by these fucking chuds, or whatever. It's like they're good terms to describe this phenomenon. But that video you described, I kind of want to watch that video now. So I don't know if it's still unlisted or not, but I would be interested in watching that. It reminds me.
No, it's up. It's from very early in my channel. Like, it is not an extremely well made video.
It reminds me of a video,
but it's still there,
made by Empire Records. The concept of the video, anyway. It reminds me of a video made by Empire Records that's about Michael Bay's Transformers. I think it's called something like Learning to Love Michael Bay's Transformers. But it's essentially about, like, an alternate reading of the Michael Bay Transformers films that posits that the Autobots in those movies are, like, part of a conquering fascist regime, and the Decepticons are, like, freedom fighters. And the movies are almost a story of the Autobots using their brutal propaganda to indoctrinate humans into their war against them. And I thought it was a really interesting read on, like, obviously not intended reading of the text, and probably not even something that Empire Records truly believes about it, but I don't know.
It's not, stuff like that isn't necessarily intended to be taken in the way like a lore obsessed Transformers fan would feel naturally inclined to take the video. Like, you know, it's about more than, like, factual, textual, narrative points of evidence.
Yeah, and like, there's an element of, like, for lack of a better term, like, Matt-patification of thinking about this kind of thing. And, like, I don't know the Empire Records video that you're talking about, so, like, this is not a call out for that video or that creator. But, like, there is a lot of, like, unhinged theory crafting, right? Where it's just like, well, what if? Where we take a tiny element of the text. And I think that, like, there is a difference between, like, that sort of, like, just a theory, unhinged extrapolation, and, like, here are some things that are present in the text that might inform how we look at the text differently. And that doesn't mean that reading has to be dominant, or that it has to be, like, you know, the truth. But, like, I think a reading that introduces a new approach to the text that allows us to interpret it differently or to see something new is really valuable.
The tyranny of MatPat, how the popularity of theories has convinced every viewer and indeed many video creators that all readings must be theories. In this essay, I will...
Yeah.
Now Pillar is doing the academic titles. Matt/Pat toward oversimplified readings.
The Matt-patification of movies. Or
we got to pitch this.
Matt Pat broke me is the title of Pillar's next video.
That's the video essay title.
Yeah.
When the Matt doesn't pat.
thumbnail of Matt Pat's wife.
Fucking hell.
This has been a great reanimation of Comment Corner. Would you like to hear a comment I screen capped from my latest video, just as a palate cleanser?
Sure.
Yes.
So for context, this is my video, delete all landlords / city skylines and simulating praxis, depending on
I'm a
which
fake
one
fan. As of recording, I have not watched it yet. So
Yeah, that's okay.
I watched the Patreon early release.
We're so
fake fan
okay.
versus real fan. But yeah, adding a username says, this is the stupidest video I have ever seen. I initially thought you were just going to criticize the simulation because of its simplicity, which I agree. But then you started evangelizing for leftism? ? Which I think is good because this guy clicked onto a video called "Delete All Landlords" with a thumbnail about simulating praxis with his entire body.
What is this woke shit in my video about deleting landlords? What is this?
Yeah. Why can't we just do an apolitical Henri Lefebvre production of space analysis?
Guy who just really loves Chairman Mao.
Literally, yeah. Apolitical Chairman Mao fan.
All right.
I just really love technological advancement.
It's really fun.
Delete all landlords. Well,
delete. The other thing we should delete is this podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna delete. This is actually gonna be the last episode, I think, guys. We're gonna do once.
You got to be careful, Pillar. Delete all podcasters could very easily become a slogan.
That could be a political manifesto. I think someone could that could be the someone should tell the DNC. Here finally is where unites the nation.
Just like and
ritual execution of the Call Me Daddy hosts.
No, the DNC's primary function is seeking out the leftist Joe Rogan. What are you talking about?
And it's gonna be Hassan Piker. It's gonna be Hassan Piker.
There's a podcast industrial complex in the UK. Started off the rest is history, but then it spun out, and now you've got the rest is politics, the rest is sport, which doesn't even fucking make sense. But I would love to nominate that entire cluster of kind of ex-politician, ex-kind of media access kind of pseudo-celebrity podcasters. I would love to roll them up into a giant ball and drag that ball into the recycle bin.
We should delete all podcasts that aren't the Weekly Planet.
Also, shout out Bunta Vista one time.
Actually, I do like Distractable a lot. I know that's one of the higher listed ones, but it's I like it because it's one of those how a lot of podcasts are branded as just a couple of guys hanging out, and then you click on the episode and
just
they're
a couple of dudes.
you click on the episode and they're and so that's why I think we should and it's just
yes.
But this one is actually just guys because it's
they do the work. They make the case for
yeah, they make the case for it.
No, cite their sources.
But it's a Markiplier podcast. It's Markiplier and his two friends, and their whole format is that they play a game every
What are you
week.
talking about Markiplier's hole for?
Markiplier's what?
You're just talking about Markiplier's hole.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Never mind.
I'm gonna
It's
kill
fine.
you right now.
It's fine.
But it's just they just play games, and then they do small talk, and I don't know. They're silly. They're funny and they're silly, and they're not talking about. It's not insidiously talking about how we should actually all uprise against the wokeness or whatever. So
yeah,
and it's nice. It was a pleasant surprise for me to see how popular they are. On the podcast charts, they one time they made it above number one above Joe Rogan, for a very under specific circumstances, but. Yeah, I don't know.
Mythical Rank Zero podcast. But thank you for listening. If you would like to expand your mind, man, and learn some stuff about AI and AIRDBUD and stuff, a reminder to check out Josh's channel. That's Josh brackets with parentheses close brackets. And the video is
oh my god, Pillar. That is the most saying my name like a British person just hurt my soul.
yeah
because brackets are something very specific in America that are not parentheses. They are two different things.
Hey, I don't want to pull we invented this language card on you, but
you did not invent this
language.
language.
And then we fixed it.
You did not invent this language.
All right.
This language is a bastardized version of Latin and Germanic phrases.
I'm actually John English. I actually did invent this language personally. But yeah, this is we're trying very poorly and very ineffectually to end this podcast. So
so we can release.
Shout out one more
to
time
his
to our
family,
wonderful guest,
his family, who are
they're
crawling at the door, please, Dad, we miss you, come out.
Yeah. Not
I
until
just- I-
not until they've done the full exit readout.
Poor Pillar is trying to shout out my channel, and I'm telling him he's doing it wrong.
Hey, it's
Yeah,
okay.
or just fucking don't look at his channel. It's fine.
Yeah, fucking whatever. It's okay. It's okay, Josh. Earlier in this podcast, I said, yeah, the education system's tough, man, to an accredited educator. So we all.
Bullseye from Daredevil season 3. That must be really hard.
He's not wrong.
All right. Well, this was great, and we will, for those in the podcasting listener audience, viewer base, etc., low gang. We're gonna try and be more consistent about releasing episodes. We're also gonna do answering questions next episode. We promise there will be questions answering. We know those have been piling up, and we'll try not to take like 3 months in between episodes. So,
But no promises.
no promises, but we'll try. Thank you so much for being on the show, Josh. It was a delight, absolute
Thank you for
delight
having me.
talking to you.
Yeah.
You should all check out his
Blast.
channel. Check out Pillar's channel, Pillar of Garbage. Check out my stuff. I'm TSD Talks, but I'm also making a show called King's Creek, which is a narrative podcast. There'll be links to all that stuff in the description. Absolutely check out Josh's video about AIRDBUD and AI. But you should also check out his one about you are a better writer than AI. That one is so good. It's like it's a video essay that altered my brain chemistry watching it.
I like the goofy map one.
The Goofy Map one is also good. I have a particular affinity for the one about how Jared Leto's Joker is actually the best thing ever made. And it's totally good.
Yeah, that's exactly what that video
That's
is.
the point of the video.
But yeah. Thank you all. We'll see you next time. Cheerio.
Cheerio.